Hey there, Brittany Brown here, founder over at Beating Binge Eating, and I am here with Stella Rivers, who is our Director of Client Success and Coaching Director. Hey, Stella.
Hello, everyone. So excited to be here.
Awesome. So in this video, we are going to do a couple of things for you. Stella just has this really magical journey from this deep and dark struggle with binge and emotional eating for 15 plus years to breaking free of binge eating while simultaneously losing weight for her wedding. That was like phase one of the journey. Then we go from freedom to becoming a coach and joining our team. So this is phase two. And then we have phase three, which is having a baby, having all these new things in your life, and also facing some body image challenges, baby weight, all of those things that came on with that. And then releasing weight without dieting, without fighting your body with workouts, and so many amazing things. And for everyone watching, like Stell is the embodiment of what we call food freedom forever here. Just which is true peace and ease with your food, where it's embodied. There's no force, there's no fighting. It's a part of who you are. And I just wanted to do this interview with you, one, because we've never done this, so we haven't really shared your story. And then two, there's just going to be so much you as the viewer can learn from her journey. So I'm going to ask her what worked, what didn't work at different phases, so you can really take away a lot. So Stell, thank you for doing this. I'm super pumped.
I'm so excited. And so many of our graduates have been asking for this as well, because I'm such a huge part of the BBEB, course. So this is really exciting to be here.
Yeah. So Stell directs all the private coaching, so private coaching clients, plus supports me behind the scenes with curriculum and creation. And, together we work on so much of what we do for the organization. So I just want to, bring her on to really, so you as the viewer could get to know her a little better. And then also just so much wisdom to learn from you, Stell. Okay, so we see your life now. Everyone sees your life now in the community, where you have this beautiful baby, this thriving marriage. You're just so diligent about your self-care and your rituals and things like that. And, food, life, body is just, it's easy. It's in flow. And I know you have your ups and downs with life, everyone does, but in general, you're maintaining this peace with your body and food that I think is just really, really rare. And so I'm curious, we see this now, but what was life like before you even reached out to me? What was that journey like for you?
I will say it was 15 years of just struggle, and I think for me, I was binging pretty much every single day. I was purging when I could. I had that bout of bulimia as well. And I think that, back then I was just this person who was a lost little soul. I didn't know who I was. I was constantly fighting my body. I was doing incredibly severe diets. I was over exercising. I was forcing myself to run 5-6 miles a day, do all this high interval, intense training workouts. My weight was constantly fluctuating. I was living on the scale multiple times a day, not to mention counting calories. I was probably a walking MyFitnessPal app at that point. But it was just a debilitating struggle that was a daily occurrence for me at that time. So yeah, super low point in my life for sure.
And I remember when you reached out, it was a time where I just had my cell phone number just on, on the internet, on the website.
I was so grateful that you answered. I think I cried for the first 3 minutes of our conversation. I was just so happy someone actually answered. And it was after probably one of the worst binge purges of my life. I'm never going to forget that day. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember you reaching out. And I remember you just telling me, and this is for the women who come in our program, or the women who are, struggling, the approach you took to your healing and to your freedom was just so committed. You were so in, and you told me, I watched your stuff. I will do whatever you tell me to do. I'll be your best client. And you were. I always tell you now, I was not everyone's like you, Stell. Not everyone does every single thing, and it's just a testament to how hard you worked. And it's just a testament to everyone else. Everyone's always looking for what's that one thing, what's that one thing that really can make the difference between where you are and you really getting to where you want to be. And for you, Stell, it was you're showing up, and your commitment, no matter what, over and over and over again in your life currently, and just on your journey. It was just, I've never seen anything like it. And I've coached, thousands of women at this point. So it's really, really a testament to you and your freedom. And so I'm curious, what were some of the beliefs and some of the things that were keeping you, sorry guys, the computer's shaking because my cat is now jumped up on my desk. But what were some of the things that you had to release, like some of those beliefs, some of those patterns, some of those ways of being that you had to release from going from this place of just this dark, disordered eating and working out like a crazy person, I remember, to this place that you're at now?
Yeah, I mean, there were probably page-long limiting beliefs that I now are like super aware of, right? But at the time, I would say like just highlighting a few of like the top limiting beliefs were that I had to work out and I had to run 6 miles a day, 6 days a week, that I had to count my calories, that I had to restrict, that I couldn't trust my body. And then more importantly, that I couldn't eat peanut butter every day and still lose weight, right? That was, if I had peanut butter, it was like, forget it. It was an actual binge. And also too, many of our graduates who are listening, everyone knows that I have a sweet tooth. And one of the beliefs that I had to release is the fact that, I can't have sweets every single day and still lose weight, because I still do. And it's something that I take pride in. So that was actually a lot of limiting beliefs, but those were like the top like core beliefs that I really had to just to release and to trust that there was another way.
Yeah. And I just like looking back on it, I think it was, you pulled on like your faith and your trust a lot, like really just getting like you kind of hit that line in the sand moment where it's like, I do want to lose weight. And just disclaimer for everyone listening, like so many coaches are like, you're bad for wanting to lose weight. Like it's cool if you want your body to lose weight, especially if that weight is on from something like binging. And it's just like, it's accumulated because you're acting out of alignment with your true self. Like I understand wanting to release that, but what you did was like, okay, even though I feel like I have to work out and run and kill my body in the gym and, barely eat and restrict and all these things, like I see where that's gotten me, and I'm just going to slowly just uncouple those beliefs and start fostering this belief in myself, belief in my body, and just faith that there's like another way. And that allowed you to actually do the actions that really got you out of this pattern. So yeah, it was so cool to watch you. And I have all these questions written down. So if you see me going like this, that's why.
I'm ready. I'm ready for it all.
I was brainstorming before the call. I just wanted to make sure we asked you these things that would really, support everyone who's listening. Okay, so you get to this place of freedom with your binge eating, right? And so we just talked about kind of where she was, but for everyone who's listening, so, Stella has so she comes to me right before her wedding, and you have, you hurt your hamstring. I remember like a few months out of your wedding, you hurt your hamstring.
I pulled
and
my
the doctor's
hamstring.
Yeah, and the doctor's like, you can't run. And so then you try like Pilates and like, you can't do that. Like you can't do anything but like move your upper body. And I just remember how scared you were and, how difficult that was for you at the time. And what was kind of like a mindset or approach that you had to take, like in the midst of pretty much the universe forcing you to slow down and not work out a couple months out of the day that you wanted to look your very best and wanted to keep releasing weight and so forth. What was that kind of mindset or approach you had to take into that point in time?
I will say just even working with you, it was just like, I had no other choice but to trust. Like at that point, I felt like I was locked in a corner, and here I was, right? And by the way, I just shared one of my limiting beliefs that I had to release was this like need to force and to push myself to run and to work out. So if you told someone like me, oh, by the way, you can't work out, you might as well just rip the rug out from underneath me, right? That's how it felt. It was like, oh my God, oh my God, my mind's blown. This is going to be awful, right? It was like a bomb went off. And, for me, having a conversation with you, and you were like, well, what's the lesson here? What's the blessing? And I'm never going to forget that, because I was like, I have to trust. Like, I actually have to partner with my body. There's no other choice. And I spent 15 years punishing my body in up and down 15 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever that was. And I finally did the work and utilized some of the principles that we talked about in BBEB and what we'll be sharing in our Food Freedom Forever program. But it was really just like the ultimate surrender for me at that moment. And it was scary as all hell, but it was so worth it. It was just
I love that. I love that. And for those of you watching, when you hear the word surrender, sometimes it might flag in our brains as like wave the white flag and give up.
Right.
And it's so the opposite. Like Stella was still, I know every day waking up, doing your morning rituals, doing the things to keep you in your power. The day of your wedding, Stella, I meant to send it to you. I found this document from like 5 years ago that was like Stella's wedding day. And it was the exact email I wrote you with all the points of like what to think about on your wedding day, like what to do at the rehearsal dinner, just kind of mapping everything out for you. Yeah, I know. And I think that's,
I honestly, I think I still have that saved somewhere too, but I remember texting you the morning of my wedding being like, I am a Greek goddess. Like, and by the way, for those of you who don't know, I'm Greek and I take pride in that, but even my Greek flag, right? But I felt like a Greek goddess that day. And I texted you just saying, I'm so grateful, like just absolutely grateful for you.
That's like so touching. Yeah. I found the email. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And I think too, like, even though like, say someone's just kind of evaluating like our, coming into our world beyond just our free social media, right? Our programs, private coaching with you, whatever that might be. The new Food Freedom Forever program that's literally pulling from everything we're talking about today and more. It's like the ability to have someone, or if you're in a group program, have a tribe of people in your corner on those big life events that are giving you like exact steps, exact plans, just support and love when a situation could be triggering is just really, it's magical and it's so supportive. So talk to me about how you felt on your wedding day. Mind you, everyone, this is just like 6 months after full blown disordered eating. And then we're fast forward to wedding day. So yeah, how did you feel? What was that like?
Yeah, wedding day. So I mean, magical, right? And for anyone who's gotten married, I'm sure you can attest to it, right? But for me, let me take a step back. When I first started working with you, the only goal for me was to be thin on my wedding day. That was it. It was just, okay, Brittany, make me thin. And it was, the whole journey in and of itself was so much more than that. It wasn't about just being thin on my wedding day. Did I feel thin? Sure, right? But I felt me. I felt at home finally for the first time. I felt confident in my body. I felt comfortable in my body, in my skin for the first time in years. I didn't have to hide my body under this like huge moo-moo like I did for 15 years. You know what I mean? And like for me, it was like I just exuded so much like love and I radiated light, and I just like, I was in alignment, and I finally, like I said, I felt at home. And I think for me, like that journey to getting there to that point where like, I just felt so good and whole again, like that, it wasn't just about the thinness. It was about that. It was about feeling just in alignment, mind, body, soul, everything that we're going to be sharing in our Food Freedom Forever program. But it was literally, it was this fundamental required shift that my body was screaming for 15 years. And it was finally just like, we're there. Like, we're there. And now, I mean, the wedding day was just one day of the many days since then that I still feel that way. And I think that was worth it. Like my wedding day was magical because I was magical. I was magic that day.
That's awesome. I just got goosebumps. That's beautiful. And I think we're talking about this one event, the wedding, right? But it just goes to show you, and we're talking about it because it's so many women have so many different emotions around this time and so many pictures of how they want it to be. But like what you're saying, like transfer that out to life. And it's so insane what's possible. Like if you're in a really tough place, sometimes it's hard to even see like what's possible when you're struggling with your body and food. Like you just think that freedom's at not binging for a few weeks and losing a few pounds, Then once you get in this process, you're like, wow, it's actually possible, like not to think about food, not to be controlled by food, not to like look at the image of me in my wedding dress and be like, oh God, there's like a pinch of fat outside the back of my thing, and be debilitated for the next 2 days and on a binge or whatever that is. Like, and it's so amazing as women when we have, like, for most of us when we're struggling, it's sometimes as low as 30 or 40% of our focus. Most people it's 50% or to 100%. And I would say it's 75% or more for most people of their mental attention on these things. And it's like incredible what's available for you when you're not just debilitated or living in like the food fog or the body fears or whatever that is. So that actually, I didn't even mean to segue into this, but that actually segues into you becoming a coach. So like you didn't know your whole life necessarily that you wanted to be a coach. I know you are passionate about helping people, but you get to this place of freedom and you're like, oh my God, I need to show others how to do this. So, so Stella goes on to become a coach, finishes her cert as she's coming into our company. And this is maybe three years ago.
Oh my God, 4 years ago, 4 years ago, 2019, maybe.
Yeah. Right around probably 3.5. So yeah. And at this point she's got 2 years also of private coaching and everything else. So she's just, beyond just like us closely working together, now we almost like talk and think the same when it comes to this kind of stuff. You have like your little zones of magic that you sprinkle in, and I do too, but like in general it's very for example, the 20 minutes prior to this call, she actually coached me around something I didn't even know I was going to get a coaching call. But you're a brilliant coach. So okay, so you go on, you start making this beautiful difference on our team and in the lives of others. Things are rocking, you're feeling free, you are able to fully share your gifts with the world because food's not holding you back. And then you get pregnant and you have little Dean. You have
out of the blue, was not planned, just kind of happened.
Yeah. So pregnancy is beautiful. Your son is amazing. You love being a mother, and that shit is hard, and I'd love to talk a little bit about that, because I think the world tends to either like, maybe the memes and stuff are coming out joking around about how hard motherhood and pregnancy is and stuff, but like the world tends to focus on all the magic, and there's so much magic, right? But for any woman, it's hard. And then a woman who has struggled with her body image and food and just taking care of herself and all those things is that much more hard. So let's just talk, like, what was pregnancy like? What was it like right after having the baby? How did that impact you and all the progress you had made with everything? Love to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, and you guys know me, like I keep shit real. And so I will say, like, getting pregnant was a blessing. Having my son was an absolute blessing. And I don't take a minute of that for granted. However, I didn't love pregnancy. I didn't. I was sick for like the first 4 months of pregnancy, just so incredibly sick, just lethargic and exhausted, and was nauseated for about 4 months straight. So wasn't that awesome? However, I will say, the beauty for me was in experiencing the cravings, right? That I was having. Like, you hear, like, so many people come up to you and they're like, oh, you're pregnant. What are your cravings? Like, is there weird shit going on? Right. And I will say, like, for me, it was so fun to like be curious about what my body wanted, what my baby wanted, right? Whether it was like random, like ice cream sundae, like mixing mint chocolate chip with like black raspberry ice cream. I even like remember just random stuff, but it was just so fun to like listen to my body instead of getting afraid and like fearful, like, oh my God, is this going to lead to a binge, right? Where had I gotten pregnant, 4 years or 5 years ago at this point, like my experience would have been entirely different, like absolutely different. And, so for me, with regards to the pregnancy element, like with the food, it was so fun and it was really easy. And when I craved burritos for 5 days, I trusted that and I honored that. And, I will say, with regards to my body shifting, like, that was really hard for me. It was really hard for me because I had gotten to this point where I had released my binge weight and I was stagnant with my weight, and that was amazing. And then I got pregnant and I gained 47 pounds, and I'm 5'2" and gained 47 pounds, but I felt like, for me, it was this whole other world of societal pressure that I didn't even know existed, and that women who aren't pregnant don't know, or, who are mothers, like, you don't experience it until you're there. And, having random strangers come up to you and they're like, oh, you're about to pop, you're huge. And like random people touching your stomach and you're like, what is going on with this world? Right. And I think for me, it was really hard to wrap my head around that. And then even after having Dean, which, like, that labor was another whole story in and of itself. But even after having him, it was just like the pressure that people just like external pressure, like, oh, you got to lose that baby weight or you shouldn't eat that. And that was just really eye-opening for me. And I was just like, wow, hold the phone. And I could like feel myself almost getting warped into that world. And I was like, whoa, not happening. Like just, this is not happening. And so, yeah, that was a long ass tangent about.
No, it's great. It's great. And I want to break it down into like two parts, because I think there's two huge takeaways. So all the body image that came during and after, for sure. But the first part that you were talking about is like how different it would have been if you were pregnant a few years ago. And we have women of all ages in our programs. I think we have someone who's graduating who's like 72 right now, like all ages. And we do talk to a lot of women who are either considering having babies in the future, in the middle of motherhood, post motherhood, you know, well, not post, you're never not a mother, but post birthing their child and things like that. You know, and their motivation is like, I want to be a good example for my children. You know, and beyond that, like the pregnancy process, like if someone's binging and purging, or binging, even if they're not purging, during that process, like how your body has to do so much work to manage what you're doing to it with food, that a lot of the work that needs to go to growing that beautiful developing baby is not quite happening as much. And there's just so like it beyond just like the health and the physical impacts. I think your experience, like you're able, even though your pregnancy was hard, you're able, like it was not overshadowed in any way by binging, you know, and you actually got to have this experience of honoring your cravings and honoring your body without freaking out. Yeah. And enjoy it. Yeah. So I think that's really beautiful. And then I love that you talk about afterwards. And, you know, it's great because sometimes when you're years into your freedom, right, it's harder to be like, God, what does it feel? Well, I remember what it felt like yesterday, but still, like you almost got that visceral real life experience of like, wow, there's weight to lose that doesn't feel like it's in alignment for me to keep on. It's from pregnancy. I wanted to release. But it's very easy to see all the diets and all the stuff. And like, it's interesting because when you're like free, it feels almost in your mind, it can feel like, and this is for a lot of our graduates who aren't binge eating anymore, it can feel like, well, I'm not binging, I don't have urges. Like, can't I just kind of diet a little bit? You know what I mean? Like, can't I just like do this thing just to get the weight off and then go back to balanced eating? And I remember we had a conversation and you weren't actually considering it because you knew the answer, but you were in a little bit of a survival mode. Because you were breastfeeding, sleeping,
not sleeping, trying to nurse. I mean, you know, it's really interesting. I felt like, I think I used earlier this analogy of like the rug getting ripped out from underneath you, but like that's motherhood, right? Like that is it. You just, you know, the survival mode for me was like mom alert, right? Like, oh my God, is Dean okay? Is he breathing? Is he sleeping? Like, and it's like this chronic state of stress that's like there, and which equates to survival mode, right? But like for me, even, you know, in my 15-year struggle, the survival mode was a result of like the dieting, the physical deprivation, the killing myself in the gym, the over exercising. And it was really interesting when we had our conversation, Britt, right? Where it was like, holy shit, I'm in survival mode again, right? Like I'm in here again, but it wasn't like self-induced. It was actually, it was self-induced. I had a baby.
Well,
right?
I mean, it was also just like circumstantial too.
Exactly. It was more of like environment. And at the time, I mean, there was no sleeping. There was, you know, no self-care. It was just about this other human being that just is your world for, you know, the first like 3 months of his or her existence. Right. And I think, you know, for me, I really, you know, I called you. I was like, all right, we need to talk. Like what's like, holy shit, my life is like, what's going on? And, you know, I was 36 hours of labor, emergency C-section, and my body, like here I was again, right, in survival mode, can't work out, can't move, can't really do much. And it was just like deja vu again. And from there, you know, it was knowing like dieting's not an option at all. Like not even the thought of it would have crossed my mind. And it was just like, okay, let's get back to the basics.
What do I do? Like what? Okay. So dieting's not an option. I'm not going to go kill myself in these workouts because I know where that got me. So what do I do? You know, and even though you knew what to do, it's still one of those moments where it's like, for 15 years, I did all these things, you know, and okay, not doing those. I know those aren't right. And it's like, it's really just like, even though you knew it, it's like having to really, really do it again. And, you know, I remember we got off that call and we came up with the two most polar opposite of diet and kill yourself in the gym ideas. And I was like, Stell, you're tired every afternoon. You're barely eating in the morning because you're taking care of your baby. Like, eat more. And we're like, well, we're like, you're like, okay, yeah, eat more. Yeah. And then the other one was like, work out and how you feel good. Like it was, we were just kind of just like, you're like, you know what? I'm just going to move in ways that feel good. And I remember even your husband, Keith, had like talked about it because he was so used to you having your rigid routine. And even in this moment of like wanting to get the baby weight off, you were just very like, I'm just going to take care of myself. You know, I'm going to eat when I'm hungry. I'm going to eat what my body needs. I'm going to eat things that leave me feeling good. I'm going to move daily. Yes, I know you love your movement. It keeps you in your power. And I'm going to not like, because I didn't get biceps yesterday, I'm not going to go kill myself for biceps today. Like it was like this kind of flowy, just really checking in with yourself and working with your body, which is just really beautiful. And I know that you went, I believe, like to the doctors or something, and you saw your weight recently. And how old's Dean? He's about, this is a year.
Yeah. Oh my God. Last week I went to the doctor. So Dean Bean just turned 15 months, which is like amazing. Yeah.
He took his first few steps the other day. He was just like waddling.
Yep. Hashtag proud mom moment. Yep. He's waddling like a little drunken sailor.
Oh, it's so cute. But okay, the number, not that the number on the scale matters, right? That's not what we're going after, but you didn't even know what it was. And then you get on the scale, and we won't say the number, but like you see a number that was like your goal weight for all these years. And it was even below, a little bit below. And it's just where your body's gone to naturally and just where it's set naturally without dieting, you know? And I want everyone who's listening, like, Stella is a diligent human, like we mentioned, but like, you're not a freak of nature, you know, and neither am I. Like, you had all these hormonal things going on. You had like real hormonal imbalances. Like it's not like you just have this gifted, amazing metabolism that was just easy for you. Like I have adrenal, thyroid, all kinds of things from how hard I was with my body that predisposed me to have a slower, less efficient metabolism. And weight loss without dieting, losing 40 pounds that I gained and lost over and over again worked for me. I've kept it off for years. Happens for you, happens for our clients. And just so I want to like, it's so easy sometimes when you see someone online to be like, oh, that's just them. They're like the weirdo that figured it out. And it doesn't have to be.
No, I mean, I don't have a super fast metabolism, never have. I'm half Greek, half Italian. Like that shit doesn't fly for us, right? So, you know, I, for me, after having Dean, I stepped into this space of just like, okay, self-care. And mind you, for anyone who's listening, and I mean, Brittany knows this, and most of our graduates and anyone who's worked with us, like I have a sweet tooth. I don't run from it. I don't hide from it. I honor it. And every day I have my sweet somewhere in the day, however that looks like. And for me, losing the baby weight and releasing, now 50 something pounds at this point. And, for me, it was still like honoring and trusting my body. And like, to be very clear, it wasn't all fruits and vegetables and eliminating carbs and eliminating fat and any of that shit. Like that's not what my day ever looked like. Some days looked hardier than others. Some days were lighter than others. Some days I went walking with my son. Some days I was able to manage a 2-mile run or something of that nature. But like, it wasn't like this, this thing where I was just like this epitome of health, because for me, my mental health is so much more fucking important than like eating a healthy plate that's like balanced with greens and, no dressing and any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not option for me anymore. So
yeah, and it's like just a beautiful like harmony of eating things that are really nourishing and like enjoying your life, like going and having fun, going to weddings, like eating fun stuff with your son, like having your little sweet stuff or peanut butter or whatever that is. Stella's a peanut butter junkie, everyone.
yeah.
So yeah, and like, your journey's been a really beautiful one. I'm just super grateful for you and so excited to be have worked on for a very long time our Food Freedom Forever program for our women, specifically for our graduates of Beating Binge Eating, but also the public. And so we've had this program running, Beating Binge Eating, for years. I'd love to look at like the official launch date, but for years. And, you know, we've had so many women run through it. So many women have success, and we've seen like everyone is unique, right? And at the end of the day, like we're all humans. We function in basic patterns. Every thought or belief or fear that you watching have about your body, everyone has had at some point. Maybe it's more dramatic, less dramatic, or whatever. Every pattern with food, everyone has done in some way. Maybe it's not as severe, maybe it's less severe, but like these things are very similar. And we've seen, you know, what it takes to get to this place of freedom and ease. And I think what's very different, there's a lot of things that are very different with our stuff, but one big thing is, one, we're both embodied in our practices. Like they are a part of who we are. So that is very different. We're not just teaching from our head and some random knowledge from nutrition school. Like we're teaching from ourselves, and then also helping thousands of other women and seeing the ups and downs of their journeys. And not just binge eating freedom, you know, like anyone who's overeating, anyone who's having trouble with cravings, anyone who starts a diet, feels like they can't stick to it and has to start over the next day, you know, everything from all of that icky, like struggle with weight stuff, struggle with food stuff, to getting to a place where all the compulsive tendencies are gone, but we still want to lose weight. So how either lose weight or like optimize our health, like for the women who have food intolerances and things. So how do we navigate this space of no restriction, but also like honoring our body, caring for our body, setting ourselves up for weight loss? And then also like, how do we feel good about ourselves in the process? So like feel good about our bodies now and still hold space for, you know, our vision of ourselves in the future, right? And so that is so much, people could be watching this video today when we release it, or 2 years from now. But that is so much of what our Food Freedom Forever program is about, that we are releasing officially in the beginning of 2019. And I'm so excited for. And, you know, not to mention just our Beating Binge Eating program, but Stella and I have been coaching clients privately post-graduating from our program and before graduating. And we've built this program to kind of like from being in the trenches with these women and really seeing what's been going on and what's holding people back, not just with the binge and emotional eating stuff, but like from truly, truly, truly living the very best version of their lives without anything with food and body holding them back from truly being like all they are meant to be. And when I say all they are meant to be, this doesn't mean you have to go start a huge empire or be a coach like Stella. This could just be like, you know, just waking up and being present with your family, you know, going to the grocery store, saying hi to a stranger and brightening their day. Like there's this ripple effect that ripples out from women who are at home in themselves, at peace with their body and food, and mental space is freed up, mental, emotional, spiritual, all of it, space is freed up to like actually really focus on the stuff in their life that matters. So I am super excited about it.
And I want to say one thing too, but you just said how it sort of like trickles and it has that ripple effect in other areas of their lives. And, you know, for women who come to us and want to work with us right now, different elements of their life are getting negatively impacted, right, by their current relationship with food in their body. Right. So naturally with our Food Freedom Forever program and with the VEB as well, like we help alleviate that struggle with food so that will have that positive ripple effect to other areas of your lives. Right. And I think that that's really important because women come to us because they're saying no to social functions. They're saying no to having intimate relationships with their husbands or significant others. Right. They're not present with their children. They'd rather be in the kitchen binging while their children are playing outside than to be with them. And, you know, that's not the way that life has to be. And that's why we created the program that we did.
Yeah. I'm so excited about it. So if you're watching this, most likely, if it's on YouTube, there'll just be like the description that will have the link directly to our website. And you don't have to know what program you need or anything like that. We host these complimentary breakthrough calls. That is not like some weird pushy sales call. It's literally like, hey, what's going on in your world? Diving into understanding what is going on with your relationship with your body and food, how this is impacting your life. And if we are the best people to get you to the other side of it, we can talk further and explain more about either program, whatever feels like a really great fit. And if we're not, we are the first ones to say, hey, it's not us, but we can point you here, we can point you here, we can give you this resource, we got you. So no matter what, the call is filled with so much clarity, so much guidance, and we'll be able to really, you know, point you in the direction of what's best for you no matter what. So it's either going to be in the description of this video or some page on the website where you see this video, but definitely click that link, find out more. And I hope you learned as much as I think you did from this interview. I know it was super valuable, Stella. So thank you for sharing your story. And
much needed, much needed.
Yeah, finally we did it. And I just think too, like showing women what's possible, you know, it's so, when you're in the struggle, it's so short-sighted. Like, oh my God, I just want to get out. But like, what's it look like years later without this stuff holding you back? Like, you guys are, you just closed on your, did you close yet on your first house?
This upcoming Friday, fingers crossed.
Okay.
Yeah, closing on our house.
It's happening. Yeah. So yeah, just like all these things that are possible without having to binge your way through them or overeat or whatever that is. So yeah, so this is awesome. All right, go click that link button if you're watching, and
thank you guys. I look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you, B. I love you.
Bye. Love you too, Stella.